Okay. I'm trying to pick back up where I left off in the other video. I got some music playing right now to block out the background noise. My kids are watching a TV show about a horse, Spirit, which is right. That's the word that I left off on last time. The idea that God is more interested in you knowing Him than He is interested in granting your requests in the form that He receives them. And I was saying that the way that you get to know God, the revelation of God, requires you to walk on the path of suffering. In fact, the revelation of God, the Father Elohim, is going to happen primarily through the revelation of Yeshua, and Yeshua's life and death and resurrection and ascension is followed by His pouring out and His filling, like Ephesians 4 said. I talked about that He ascended above all things and then descended in order to fill all things at Pentecost. And He makes Himself known. He makes the heart of the Father known. Like 1 Corinthians 15 says, He became a life-giving Spirit. And the Spirit of Messiah fills a person, and they have the ability to say, not my will, but your will be done. They have the ability to submit to the call of the Spirit of Messiah that says, walk with me, follow me, manifest me to the world, relive the life that I lived. This is Isaiah 53 all over again. It's the idea that God is more excited for us to know Him than He is for us to get stuff that we claim in faith. And the way that we know Him is by surrendering to the Spirit of Messiah within us and walking the footsteps that Messiah walked, and those will be painful. They'll lead us to the valley of the shadow of death. So I've been meditating on Psalm 20, and it's a beautiful psalm. And I talked about the idea that a lot of these verbs are written in Hebrew in such a way that they look like call imperfects. They just look like future tense, like God will do this or He will do this, but they're translated in the Jessup, meaning like may God do this. Like the first verse is Yancha Yahweh b'yom tzara. It's He will answer. Yahweh will answer you in the day of trouble, but it's translated in your English Bibles. May Yahweh answer you in the day of trouble, and there's definitely like grounds for translators to do that. It's not deceitful, but I'm more so thinking about the power that I feel in trying to pick up Psalm 20, and the power I feel in entertaining the idea that I could say, Yahweh will answer, and Yahweh will answer you in the day of trouble. Like that's a promise from me. Yisagev Hashem Elohei Yaakov, like, and He will make you, the name of the God of Jacob will make you inaccessibly high or untouchable. Like that is a promise. Like the name of the God of Jacob will make you untouchable. Like that is a promise instead of may the name of the God of Jacob make you untouchable. And I just see in the wrestling to try to understand praying this psalm, I see within myself the wrestling and trying to demand that God manifest my agenda. And like the wrestling between that and saying to God, what do you have for me? And I'm kind of, I'm wondering what God thinks about us redefining faith so that it looks like us kind of bullying heaven with promises and then trying to force reality to conform to our agenda. So that I'll give an example. Let's just take this first phrase, or the name of the God of Jacob will make me untouchable. It would be like taking that as a promise and then moving in a way to force, moving in a way like saying, I'm going to have faith in that promise. And I don't care. Often these verses get applied to all kinds of things. Let's say that I'm going to apply this verse to cancer. The name of the God of Jacob will make me untouchable. Cancer will not be able to touch me. Like I want to read the verse that way. But I wonder if that's what, I don't know if that's what how the church should read it. I don't know. Like I said, these are questions. Does this apply to Yeshua directly? Like, is this fulfilled in Yeshua? I mean, one of the things that the Psalm says is, let's see here. It's in verse 7. Ata yadati ki Hoshea Yahweh Moshicho. Now I know that Yahweh has saved his anointed, or delivered his anointed one, his Messiah. Ya'anehu Mishmei Kadsho Bigvorot Yesha Yamino. So it's now I know that that Yahweh has saved his anointed, or given deliverance to his anointed, and he will answer him from his holy heavens in big works of deliverance from his right hand. I want to say that all of these verses could be read as fulfilled promises for Messiah, for Yeshua. Like he has been made untouchable. He was answered. Help was sent from a holy place, and from Zion he was established. God remembered his sacrifices and regarded them, his burnt offerings, like of himself, as though it was fat, as it was acceptable and pleasing. He gave to him all of his heart's desire, and he fulfilled his plans. So this is true, so it's absolutely true in Messiah. I actually think that it's realized in Messiah. The question is, as one who now has the spirit of Messiah, and I'm going to pray, and I'm praying this psalm with Yeshua at the right hand of the Father, Yahweh in the flesh, the one in whom I'm hidden, the temple of Yahweh, the very form of the fullness of divinity, the fullness of God, like Colossians says. When I am praying this psalm, should I try to just embody its victorious fulfillment? In other words, like the route that Yeshua has to take for these promises to be made manifest in him. You can't get around the Garden of Gethsemane and Golgotha. You can't get around the cross. The route for this being fulfilled in Yeshua is betrayal and death, and abandonment by his friends, and being despised, rejected by people. Like that's the path. I could totally see, like, it makes me want to cry. I could totally see like Davidic Judean kings picking up this psalm and, like almost like a kind of praxis, a kind of ritual, almost like a kind of magic, to use this kind of to use this psalm in a warrior-like way, or in a kind of like a ritualistic way, to demand that its outcome would be manifest in their particular trial. Like I could see a king about to go to battle and pick up this psalm and try to pray it over his troops to bless them or to make it come to pass. And I could see us picking this psalm up and trying to use it in our particular battles, our individual battles, and trying to wrench out of it the victory that seems to be in it. And I can actually imagine my Father in heaven. I can imagine God answering a lot of these requests. I could actually imagine him rewarding people who use this and apply faith and just like go for it, and they pursue their agenda. Whatever the grounds are that they're, whatever thing they're seeking, whatever their particular request is, whatever plan that they have, and they're pushing forward, and they're trying to use this psalm as a security for their promise. Like is this, kind of like, I guess, the way that Paul says that all the promises of God are yes and amen through the name of Yeshua. People would take these promises and seek to secure them. But the question I would have for the church, for myself, would be how much of a conversation is this? How much of this psalm is actually inviting us to a conversation, like Ya'ancha Yahweh b'yom tzara, that Yahweh answers in the day of trouble. It would imply answers a request, but if he's speaking, is it possible that he'll say, yes, I hear your request, but I have an even better idea. I'm going to do it this way. Are we open to God's will? Are we open to what God wants? Or are we only using these kinds of promises to demand of him our particular agenda in the way that we think it should look? I do believe that God has mighty miracles in store for his people. I believe he has victories in store that we've never dreamed of, that make the parting of the Red Sea pale in comparison. Jesus says you'll do greater works than I do. I believe that God has huge things that he's yet to do, where somebody cries out, and he listens to him, and he does like exactly what they asked. I believe that, but I also believe that God is looking for willing vessels, people who are willing to say to him, send help in the way that you see fit. Here's my request, and I'm going to push until you interact with it, God. And then maybe God interacts with it and he takes it in a totally different direction. I don't know. This is, it's rambling and it's circuitous. I'm trying to be transparent about what it is like to pick up a psalm, to try to pray it, and to try to wrestle through what it means for me before my master. I do love this song. So, yeah.